Good morning, everybody. How are you doing today? Well, it is Monday, so I hope you had a nice weekend. Hope you enjoyed the weekend and you took some of your stress out as well. And yes, there's another week, another um, full red driver news week. But today it's a Monday, no news. So let's get straight into the charts and let's see where we're heading to, and yeah, try to follow any plan today. So there's a lot of annotations here. I know about that, but let me talk about them quickly. So here we have the previous day high, which is previous week's high as well, and all-time high as well. So let me just be more precise with this one. I like to be precise with my levels here. This is the first and the major draw that I would like to see hit, since we are recovering very well from this drop down. It took out a lot of liquidity here. It came back for this 1 hour fair value gap as well. So my overall bias is kind of bullish today, and eventually taking out the all-time high as my main drawn liquidity. This one here is a weekly wick consequent encroachment, so it's the midpoint of the weekly wick, the wick formed from the previous week's price action. Down here we have some the other part of the weekly wick here, the consequent encroachment. But honestly, I really pretend to price to come to the upside, eventually taking out buy side liquidity. But for that to happen, I would like to see some form of lower manipulation. And as you can see here, we have London lows still intact, some relative equal lows here as well. So for today's price action, I really would like to see a bearish opening, eventually taking out London lows, and then price just move on from here and go for the higher targets as buy side liquidity. It can happen that we need to go a little bit lower to take out some regular trading hours sell side liquidity here down below. That would be interesting to see as well, because at that point more short sellers would be enticed because they would think that we were heading below this 1 hour fair value gap, but in fact we just price just would have come here to take out some form of liquidity and then move back into the fair value gap. This would be a more punishable way to retrace here, but it's a plausible idea. So what do we have more in here just to cover? Yeah, I guess that's it. I guess that's it, honestly, because we are working right now inside of a 1 hour fair value gap. We came back from a 1 hour fair value gap, but a bullish one, and price is now trying to probably work out this bearish one. But in order to take it to the upside, I really would like to see something lower first, eventually coming back, retesting midnight open and 8:30 open, which are right here. But let's see. Let's let the market just open, and then we will take eventually a measure of plan and see if it can eventually happen. So yeah. At this point, all these pre-market highs are being taken out, as you can see here. So this form of buy side liquidity is taken out right now, is being taken out. So we still have 1 minute before the open. So 1 minute. Remember that this is a no news Monday, so we might face some low probability situations here. But let's see. So the first move is being right now bearish. Let me check NQ as well. So price stopped right at the midpoint of this fair value gap, the 1 hour, as you can see here. And the market just opened. So Let's see. I was expecting something lower first, eventually taking out London lows, and then some sort of inversion happening. But right now, as you can see, we are still here ranging. We are inside of a big range since Asia. So this is some sort of accumulation. It would be interesting to see price coming down, taking out the accumulation, manipulating price to the downside, and then eventually distribute a little bit higher. Let's see. So far, we are heading south, just like we were expecting. But I want to see something lower, eventually taking out on the lows. So at this point, looking at NQ and ES, we are we are facing two different situations. While the NQ is making new highs, ES is just dropping down to sell side liquidity. Let me take a look at the regular trading hours as well. So yeah. So this is the opening range, gap. We still have this sell side liquidity here. This one can be eventually we can eventually take this in mind as well. And price came to 8:30 and midnight open and retraced here a bit. Let's move into extended or electronical. So far we have the 1 minute first presented fair value gap here. So first presented fair value gap so far is being respected. See price reacting to 8:30 and midnight open here. Well, for those who would like to trade in the first minutes of the opening, here you had some sort of a breaker. So a bearish breaker here. Price came, cleaned sell side, buy side liquidity here. Drop down, breaker displacement. So this would be some sort of entry on a pre-market open, and eventually seeking for these lows and London lows as well. Yeah, NQ is definitely pushing price higher. Yes, holding here at 8:30 open and midnight open. Nice reaction here from the open, 8:30 open and midnight open. NQ really pushing price to the upside. Let's see if ES can eventually keep going higher here. But yeah, in my opinion, I would like to see price coming a little bit lower. I don't think this is enough. I really don't think that's enough for ES. We still have some liquidity here. At this point, I feel like NQ is really leading. So the first presents the fair value gap. It got obliterated. And if this is the manipulation that we were expecting, let me just project price and just see how can we move from here. Not much confluence is here. Minus 2.5 standard deviation standing for, yeah, this first bearish fair value gap here. Minus 0.5 standing for the weekly wick, the consequent encroachment of the wick. I don't know. But yeah, it's been quite a reaction so far since we came from 8:30 and midnight open. But I was expecting price to come a little bit lower, taking out some sort of sell side liquidity. Let's see. Let me just check these ranges. Yeah, 10 handles. We are in a small range here. Yeah, so far NQ moved to the upside since the open. It just took some small sell side liquidity and moved straight to the upside. While ES is, yeah, it's not that clear. Big displacement now to the downside. We'll have some relative equal highs here. Yeah, I think we will now see London low. A lot of people got enticed here, taking some longs. Definitely, I can see a lot of people trying to long this. So I will take out this projection here. And I guess we will now have our move to the downside eventually until London lows. Let me just check the 2 minute. Yeah, the 2 minute over is some sort of relative equal highs here. So we took this low. If this comes once again in between the breaker, this bearish breaker, and the first presented fair value gap, then it would be a strange market, honestly. We be doing something like this. And this is horrible if we confirm that situation. But so far, respecting this bearish fair value gap here. Yeah, but it will probably go for another run to the upside because NQ is pushing as well. And yeah, we left these relative equal highs here, which are kind of suspicious for me. Yeah, we just took 930 low, which to me isn't enough. I would like to see some more liquidity taken out before engaging into something that will drive us higher. Yeah, we are coming back above. Hmm. This is definitely a crazy opening. So far, prices still inside this range, but longs seem to be in a better position, I guess, because at least we have some form of liquidity to target here. These relative equal highs, prices above the first presented fair value gap. We got rejected by 8:30 and midnight open. So far, those who are still holding his longs, they might be in a better place. Yeah, but so far, and we are about 15 minutes inside after the bell, and things are not looking that good. Strange behavior between ES and Q. It's quite similar from one of these opens. Yeah, this open was kind of similar behavior, as you can see here. You range, newer highs, newer lows, and suddenly there's displacement, and boom. If we look into today's action, it's quite similar. Yeah, ES and NQ doing a opposite job, while ES is trying to get some more sell side liquidity. NQ is just moving towards new highs. Kind of hard to frame anything, but when these similar indices are kind of back to back, you know, they're not doing the same. Let's see if price wants to take out London lows as we were expecting. Yeah, I'm still expecting London lows to be taken before price heading to the upside. I guess it's just generating some liquidity here, leaving some relative equal highs behind, just to take them a little bit later. Maybe 950 to 1010 can deliver some sort of inversion. Not yet. 8:30 and midnight open is doing a great job holding price right now. But yeah, look how price just stopped here, forming another two relative equal lows. We have relative equal highs here, relative equal lows here below. So this is the no zone here. So now to move higher at this point, NQ is way above, and ES is just trying to get out of this mess. It's just accumulating. We are entering 950 right now, so something can eventually be formed in between 9:50 and 10:10. It doesn't mean that it will form right in between that time window. Sometimes you just have to wait till some more minutes, just 3, 4, 5 minutes more, and then you will get your setup. But usually this time window is kind of important and decisive for the rest of the AM session. It's a formation of the candle, of the hourly candle in between 10 and 11 a.m. and the close of the 9 to 10 a.m. hourly candle as well. So it's kind of an important time window. I believe Trump will speak at 10:10, so this can be just um, this can be just price holding until Trump speaks as well. So it's typical whenever we are expecting something to to happen, whenever one of those guys just speak. Yeah, but so far we have big SMT in between ES and NQ. So this is SMT in between ES and NQ. Yeah, but in fact we have some sort of a lower SMT as well here. So I don't know if this will mean anything, honestly. So far, nothing to work with. Price is still mumbling around here. Somehow NQ is still trying to push price to the upside. But yeah, ES is not. It's holding NQ a little bit back. But yeah, so far this is a barcode action, so really, really ugly price. It's been 30 minutes since the open and price, yeah, did nothing. It's quite, yeah, it's quite typical for a no news Monday. So whenever you have a Monday that has not a red folder or an orange folder or something big happening, yeah, you might end up with some price action like that. But the only news that I think it's not a forex calendar news type of event, but since Trump will speak at 10:10, the market may be stalling right now just to wait for Trump to speak. So at this point, I will take out this SMT here. Price kind of stalled here, as you can see. Let me just check the regular trading hours once again. Yeah, price was not able to come below, which is kind of suspicious as well for me. We left these to not similar, equal lows. So it would be kind of strange if price just ignores these lows and yeah, will go straight to the upside. But yeah, it can happen, honestly. Let me just switch to the 2 minutes, which is a mess as well. The 3 minutes, yeah, the 5 minutes. Yeah, on the 5 minute, we have this order block here. It's a 5 minute order block. It was several times um, retested. The 5 minute makes a bit more sense, but I still see some lower liquidity that hasn't or that needs to be punished or purged first. Yeah, NQ totally pushing price to the upside. It's kind of accumulating to the upside as well. I'm not liking how price is just going straight in a diagonal shape. On the hourly, price is completely distinct in between ES and NQ. ES is still ranging since 8 o'clock in the night from the 7th September, 8 o'clock. It's still ranging. So as you can see here, price kind of started ranging here. Asia almost dictated the size of the range, and then since now we are still ranging. So kind of a odd price action, but typical for a new news Monday. So right now we are inside the macro. And an inversion would be great since we have SMT here in between these eyes. So SMT here. This fair value gap got inverted. We got some sort of displacement to the downside. NQ. Yeah, it's pushing down as well, but I don't know. The only thing that I have is this SMT and some sort of a displacement, but I cannot consider this displacement as well since now I can consider it. Yeah, there we go. I believe we will go for London lows directly because we are inside the macro. Yeah. So new lows here. And Q is turning around as well, so this might be the timing for shorts. Let me just check the 2-minute here. And the 3 minutes. Yeah, but it's still tricky. It is honestly still tricky. We took some sort of sell-side liquidity here. We still have these lows here and London lows as well. So this should be the breaker. Prices retesting the breaker. This red candle here. So this is the bearish breaker. And this should be eventually the setup. I'm not liking how price is just trying to get below 8:30 and midnight open. I usually tend not to open any trades when price is resisting to overcome these two. Yeah, it seems like NQ is trying to push once again. But at the same time, I don't. It's starting to feel like prices has no strength to go above this breaker. Yeah, not that clean, honestly. That's why I'm not taking it so far. I usually try not to trade when price is holding um, on midnight open or eventually at 8:30 open, and it held a lot of times here. So I will rather wait before doing something, since price is just doing this back and forth stuff. So far, another touch here on the first presented fair value gap. Yeah, and so far we are almost ending the macro hour. So 3 minutes. See how price just turned around right at midnight open and 8:30 open. That's why I don't like to open anything when price is just holding here right at these levels. Let me check the regular trading hours once again, and just to see how far price came for. So opening range gap. Yeah, it did not make 50%. Yeah, quite irrelevant, the opening range today. And there you go. See, price coming once again inside the range after taking out these relative equal lows. It has some relative equal highs here right now, so it might outcome them as well. And then it will be a hard choice because we will end up with something like this. And this is a some sort of a megaphone pattern, and it's those types of conditions that you don't want to trade. So let's just wait a bit more, see if price really wants to come down or if it will hold inside this range. And this was somehow a manipulation leg to the downside. Let me just mark this one and see how far this one will take us. Yeah, not that not that big of a confluence as well. Yeah, I guess we will wait a bit more. So yeah, guys, this can be one of those days where eventually we can not do anything but with this type of conditions, and we have to be content in doing nothing because so far price is just barcoding. It's been about 40 minutes since the open, and nothing happened so far. So price is just numbling around here, trying to somehow punish everybody who's trying to get into something with it. And yeah, if that's the case, uh, you might you might you may be content without losing any money, because I can see a lot of traders here trying to short the market here eventually in this last bullish leg. A lot of players try to eventually grab this fair value gap and take a long and get punished right away. Here, eventually placing the stop loss above this fair value gap. Yeah, it's kind of tricky to engage in something like this. I'm still prone to see London lows being purged, but yeah, not going much more below it. Eventually taking regular trading hours, sell side liquidity. But even that, I don't know at this point if Trump is still speaking, or if he will speak something. I don't know. Remember what I told you before, that whenever you see the first presented fair value gap being pierced many times, it can indicate you that you will be, or you will end up being in a hard New York AM session. And yeah, this is a typical case where you form the first presented fair value gap. It pierced to the upside, pierced to the downside, upside, downside, upside, downside. Okay, that's when you have to accept that this might not be the best trading day for for this week, or for, I don't know. So right now I can see a lot of people trying to sell eventually. But yeah, the stop loss placement would be kind of terrible. On the 2 minute, it's not that hard to see that. Yeah, it kind of purged these these lows. We displaced below, forms this fair value gap, and yeah, we could eventually head lower now. But since we have midnight open and 8:30 open acting as support for a long time now, it's it's kind of it's kind of tricky to short right here, because price can eventually come once again inside the range. It's been acting like this, so the probability to stay like this is, I think it's greater than the probability to switch things up. price. Wicking once again here. At this point, I would like to see some measure of displacement to the downside, taking out this low, since we have relative equal lows here. It is somehow still acceptable for price to come for this volume imbalance here. Those who like to trade volume imbalances can see this as a short entry. When our price does something like this, comes here right quite quickly and then drops lower. At this point, despite being sure that price will reach these lows, yeah, I have no conditions to on taking this trade, honestly, because I would not know where to place my stop loss at this point, and the risk to reward ratio would be not that great as well. So whenever we plan to place a trade, we have to keep all these things in mind and play with them, not just being present in the market and yeah, I will just interact with it without any plan. This could eventually be another form of entry. But yeah, where would you put your stop loss? Below, above the volume imbalance, above the first presented fair value gap, above these highs? It would kind of risk your not risk but ruin your risk to reward. So let's see, price will probably do 50% of this wick here. There we go. We call it immediate rebalance. And we'll head downwards since we have still London lows to be taken. See, price is approaching London lows, also approaching the midpoint of this last bearish 1 hour fair value gap. So it's a very congested area where price is kind of shy to displace with heaviness. So once again, price coming to the upside. See, there's not much to work with, honestly. And Q made a better setup than ES, but yeah, that was not enough, honestly, for me. And Q still heading lower, way cleaner than ES. We'll mark London lows here. Sell side liquidity is London lows. Hmm. See, these are the types of reaction that I really hate because, and I was kind of anticipating some sort of reaction like this when price is just um performing like this. It's quite usual for it to react, and you will have no time for to adapt, or it will take out your position. Imagine that I would have protect me at break even. I would have been stopped out here. That's why it's kind of hard to place your stop loss when you have um these lower movements or movements like this, but with no strong follow up and with no strong displacement to its objective. See, and now price stopped once again. Kind of an annoying warning, honestly. But yeah, as traders, we know that a no news Monday is always tricky to play because the majority of times you will face days like this, price action like this, whenever you have a start of the week without any news, which is today's case. It's a Monday no news, and whenever you have a Monday no news, you can eventually expect a seek and destroy pattern, which is somehow what's happening here, where price just yeah it has a general idea about what it's going to do, but you will have to face conditions like this. And yeah, these are terrible to play whenever you have these seek and destroy pattern days. It's very hard not to. It's very hard to get out of them without being hurt, honestly. yeah, Q is reacting quite well here. And yes, it's trying to follow its steps, despite not the only thing that ES took was these pre-market lows, which can act as a liquidity point as well. But since we had London lows so close to them, I believe that we would go lower. And maybe this is our manipulation leg, because look at this reaction here. Just let me project price once again. So at this point, we would project price. This is the last leg to the downside. Yes, it is. So yeah, this is a quite good confluence projection where you have minus 1 point standard deviation right here for these relative equal highs, minus 2.5 for the weekly wick, and minus 4 for the end of the bearish fair value gap. So yeah, this could have been our manipulation leg if I extend it to the entirety of the leg. Yeah, minus 1 standard deviation and minus 4 with all-time high and previous day's high. Yeah, this could have been the manipulation leg that I was waiting all this time. I kind of expected it to be a lower manipulation leg, eventually taking London lows. But yeah, it didn't give us London lows. But the question is, do you trust in a market like this for the last couple of hours? Because it can quite easily continue um, doing whatever it wants to do, right? That's the hardest question to answer as a trader, is to do we accept the fact that okay, we can be in a seek and destroy action for the next couple of hours, or okay, now the market is changing and now we have some type of a breaker, and yeah, we have a setup, a clean setup. I don't know. I think that's the hardest question to answer as a trader, is when do you pass from a non-trustable market to a trustable one? See, but there's no action, there is no entry here. It's no it's not retracing to any fair value gap. The only thing that it can eventually do is some sort of a retrace into the breaker, OTE. But at this point, it came right through this buy side liquidity. So yeah, there's nothing we can do. Somehow a seek and destroy pattern here. So yeah, there's nothing we can do right now. besides waiting for some sort of retracement if it happens. Usually in these types of markets, you don't have that retracement. You have to be aggressive. See, price is just moving towards a withdrawal. But yeah, I kind of was expecting a lower manipulation eventually until London lows. So whenever price does not do what's programmed to do, which is an algorithmic delivery, you should treat the market as a non-trustable guy. So if it doesn't give you what you want, which is a purge on London lows and then a displacement higher, maybe why are you saving London lows for later? I don't know, maybe. So this makes you, I believe, this makes you diagnose somehow a non-trustable market when the algorithmic footprint is not being respected. So in normal conditions, price could eventually come here in between the breaker and the first presented fair value gap, eventually until 50%, and then keep keep grinding higher. So if this was the manipulation leg, yeah, this can eventually happen, and that would mark the next leg to the upside, eventually until consequent encroachment of the weekly wick. See, I would expect price to come a little bit lower eventually here as well. But yeah, this could, in normal conditions in a trustable market, this could have been your entry. Yeah, price came here to clean the retrace. The only problem here was that we took buy side liquidity right with the first leg, and that honestly bothers me a little bit, because after taking this sort of liquidity, yeah, there's not much more left. So price can eventually come once again down here and then take out this low and eventually needing to come a little bit lower before heading higher. That's the only thing that bothers me with this setup. Nice reaction here. Very good reaction. Yeah, very good reaction here. Seems like we are approaching the next macro as well. So 1050 to 1110. At this point, the standard deviation is working quite well. As you can see, price kind of made a one way break here. It came directly to minus 0.5 standard deviation. It retraced back to 0. Then another hit to minus 0.5 standard deviation. The next pit stop should be the consequent encroachment of the weekly wick. It was kind of unfortunate that it didn't came for something lower here. Was expecting price to come a little bit lower. It would have given us a nice retrace to an entry. price continuing higher. Let me check in Q. Yeah, in Q is not that far away from last day or previous day's high. So I believe ES can eventually stop here around this area. Yeah, we are still going higher here. Just close the yeah. Yeah. So yeah, at this point, there's not much we can do, honestly. Price is slowly grinding to the upside. Notice that these candles are quite small. It's a one handle candle. I'm quite zoomed in, so keep that in mind. But yeah, the only opportunity that I can eventually take as eventually a trade here was somewhere here, taking this as a retrace into the breaker. It never reached the breaker. It kind of reached the wick of the breaker, but that's not enough for me. I needed it to see a little bit lower. But yeah, this was the only entry that I can see here. Not a push to the upside. But yeah, price is slowly climbing up with not much energy. let's see if it displaces now to the consequent encroachment of the weekly wick. This was one of the draws that I was expecting. We have about 20 handles left on NQ just to hit previous day high or Friday's high. We still have a lot of room on ES if it wants to go for Friday's high or all-time highs or just buy side liquidity that I've marked here as well. So very slime climb here, low climb here. Yeah, things were a bit more interesting on NQ, but somehow not that easy to trade as well. I can see two entries, a short one somewhere here. Wasn't that good on ES. And then you have the long opportunity, the same as here on ES. But as soon as NQ retraced, it kind of slowed down. It's probably because we are uh, outside of the macro. But we are 1 minute away from it, so it can offer some fuel here. Yo, Francisco. How you doing? Yeah, it's been very lethargic, and honestly, I thought that we would go for London lows, but as you can see here, we didn't go for it. So I kind of lost my interest as soon as we didn't take London lows. I was expecting some something lower first on the first minutes of the opening bell. It kind of happened, but in a seek and destroy way as well. But yeah, I thought that we would go eventually to London lows, and it it could have been acceptable for this sell side liquidity here as well. I would still be bullish since we would have left behind a lot of buy side liquidity here. So, but yeah, nothing happened. None of that manipulation happened, and I kind of lost my interest to go long. And then I saw the breaker here, the formation here. But yeah, it's been so lethargic. It didn't came for the breaker like I used to like. And honestly, since then, it's been doing nothing. Honestly, it was just a 7 handle run to the upside, so nothing to work with for me, at least. It's been a bit more interesting on NQ, but even so, I don't think that this is good price action. Let's just see how it will behave inside the macro. If it will give us some sort of, I don't know, continuation, probably. But at the same time, since we are inside of a no news Monday, it can eventually retrace back inside this range. So I guess NQ still has some room to the upside as well, just to take Friday's high. It's very close to it. I don't know. Let's see. But yeah, this is what we usually get on a no news Monday, honestly. And yeah, there are some big expectations for the news driver that will hit starting on Wednesday, I think. Yeah. Starting on Wednesday, then Thursday we will have once again red folder news, and Friday once again. So I believe we will have some action at the end of the week. I'm curious to see if these first days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, will somehow form the high of the week, and then we could eventually retrace a bit lower. Just to, let me just check here. Yeah, just to rebalance this weekly wick. I don't know. Taking out this liquidity coming down once again. I don't know. These last couple of weeks, they have been challenging, honestly. Mm. So our main draw is almost hit here on ES. It was the consequent encroachment of the weekly wick. Seems to be a reasonable drawn liquidity for a no news Monday. Of course, there's a higher draw, I believe, which is all-time high on ES once again. So taking Friday's high as well. But since we left London lows behind, I kind of lost the interest on participating in this long, honestly, because I was expecting a confirmation of this algorithm signature, and it never came. It was quite frankly acceptable for NQ not to take it, but not being taken on NQ and not being taken on ES kind of drove me off, honestly. Yeah, so at this point, the main drawn liquidity has been taken. So once again, one of those days where we know where price will head to, but participating on it, it's kind of a challenge work. So since the main draw on liquidity here on ES for a Monday no news is hit, I'm kind of curious to see what will happen. I guess we still have some room to have more upsides because NQ is relatively close to Friday's highs. But let's see, since price is so lethargic, and usually we know that price action after 11 usually tends to retrace back, punishing everybody who's making money since the open. It might be a macro reversal type of play as well. So so far on the 1 minute, we have an SMT in between ES and NQ. SMT followed by some sort of displacement, which usually confirms the SMT. We hit constant encroachment of the weekly wick. But so far, no change in the state of delivery or market structure shift here on ES. It already happened on NQ, but not on ES. Yeah, price is still trying to climb here. Meanwhile, on NQ, it seems to be a little bit weaker. Not liking how price is accumulating. This for me is some sort of accumulation, which is usually followed by something like this. Let's see. We are entering the New York AM closure macro. So far, this fair value gap is being respected. It price kind of retouched the midpoint of it, but respected it kind of well. And Q is heading lower as well. So yeah, it may offer us the 11 o'clock retracement. But honestly, I would like to see some sort of market structure shift or break of this bullish structure here, which did not happen. So it might go for another run before heading south. Yeah, see, price is trying to make another run here, probably waiting for more bullish players to come in before heading in the opposite direction. I don't know if I'm yeah. Yeah, NQ making new lows while ES is just accumulating in this diagonal shape here. It's like climbing a mountain and suddenly you reach the top of the mountain and then boom to the downside. Seems like it. Oops. Yeah, price is really taking a long time here. Right below the constant encroachment of the weekly wick. NQ it seems like it's preparing for another shot to the upside as well. So I guess this SMT will be invalidated soon. I will leave it there anyway. Kind of curious to see what happens after 11:10. It can happen that we will just move a little bit lower eventually to the midpoint of this big bearish fair value gap and continue probably the range here on ES since we are all expecting for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday's news driver. really no action here. Very lethargic price action, creating all this low resistance here. You can see a lot of people trying to long right now, just to trying to catch a running train, and suddenly the train breaks and everybody gets messed up. So I don't know. At this point, I can see price eventually continue higher and in some sort of high resistance like it is, but at the same time forming some low resistance um future some future low resistance liquidity runs. But yeah, at the same time I can see it coming down, purge all this liquidity, and boom, to the upside. It's a 50-50 chance, honestly. Let me just check for how long am I streaming right now. Yeah, almost 2 hours. Let's see, I'm just curious to see how price will behave after the 10:50 to 11:10 macro. If we will have some New York close, New York AM close action, or if it will stay just like this and keep mumbling around here. There we go, another shot to the upside. Take this SMT out. Well. There's honestly not much we can say right now, honestly. So boring of a price action. Yeah, this is one of those days where you eventually know that price will drive itself to some point, but the way you interact with price action is kind of hard, and it's not a risk very favorable way to interact with price. Even if I had taken something like a trade inside the weekly wick, um, yeah, considering all this area here, I would have place a stop loss, probably something like that. And something as a 1.5 risk to reward ratio is not enough for me. Or the price needed to come a little bit lower, eventually invading the first presented fair value gap. Or otherwise I would not stepped in to this trade, honestly. It's in terms of risk, it's not that good. And it would be a pain to see price drive itself like this to your targets, honestly. Trying to get above the weekly wick, but got a rejection here. So this is another SMT in between ES and NQ. We kind of inverted this fair value gap here. Followed by a small displacement here. Then we have our bearish breaker. So price always tends to retest the breaker, or at least we would like to. And yeah, this could, let's just see. This could be the setup, the retrace setup that I was talking about. So bearish breaker here. Just to take out this low resistance, eventually coming to the midpoint of the fair value gap. At this point, the breaker is retouched. So this could be some sort of a trade here. There we go. So the retrace post 11 is happening right now, just like we anticipated it. Nice displacement to the downside, taking out these relative equal lows, this trend line liquidity, and eventually I'm expecting it to come for equilibrium of the range, which is somewhere right next to the midpoint of this fair value gap. This would be the low hanging fruit here. At this point on this low, you could eventually take some partials. And yeah, once again, one of those cases where I can anticipate to retrace after 11. Now I just have to accept that this could be a model that I can work with as well, because I'm not used to open trades after 11, but somehow I've been reading price quite well after 11. So here you have not a possible entry. Looking at the projection here, let me just, yeah, -2 standard, 2.5 standard deviation, or eventually, yeah, this low here. Yeah, at this point, and he already went for this low. So at this point, we have another SMT here. So if this displaces to the upside, we can eventually confirm the SMT, and price will head higher, not reaching for the -2.5 standard deviation. Let's see if ES suppresses this bearish fair value gap, or if it will just use this candle as an order block Yeah, it seems like it will run once again. The higher time frame draws is bullish, so it was a shame that NQ already took out this low. So there's now an excuse for ES not going lower. But yeah, this was maybe the cleanest one that I've seen so far. Despite not taking it because yeah, it's not my type of price action behavior that I like. It's very lethargic. If Trump sneezes in this type of environment, it you will see a big candle invalidating everything that's it that has been that the market has been doing for the last couple of hours. So I'm not risking those types of environments. But yeah, I believe this was a clean breaker. It's somehow of like a unicorn setup, where you have a inverted fair value gap, a bearish one, little breaker, and the price just came for the lowest of the hanging fruits. So it did deliver quite well on NQ, but did not work on ES. But yeah, so far I'm content with my price action reads, honestly. I was expecting in the first minutes of today's session, I was expecting a move lower eventually to London lows. We fell kind of short. We missed it for about, yeah, 1.5 handles. So kind of felt that the algorithm signature was not respected that it should be. So then we displaced to the upside, formed a breaker. The breaker was never touched on its body. So even if I had intention to take out or to get in inside a retest of the breaker's body, I was never able to do so. So and then it kind of runs in a lethargic way. I cannot call this a run. It is just a walk in a park until weekly, till the constant encroachment of the weekly wick, which I had as my major drawn liquidity, and it then hit it about 11 o'clock, kind of displaced lower after it, looking for some sort of a retrace. I was expecting a lower retrace, but since NQ hit this low, yet there was an excuse for ES not coming lower, and then now we have an inversion of this retracement, and we will probably continue higher, but we left some relative equal lows here, which can be a sign that probably lunch hour will take those out, or eventually New York PM. So what can we expect for the rest of the day? Even if price uh, keeps going up, it will do so in a strange way, leaving some liquidity behind, taking it out later, and yeah, not. I'm not expecting a clean run to the upside. I'm expecting some high resistance to the upside, just like it did so far. So it's not the best. It was not the best day on in terms of price action, but I guess I managed to make a good read about it, and yeah, was not caught in any type of manipulation or something. I was honestly thinking about entering something here until London lows, but since since the risk to reward was not that enticing, I kind of stepped out of the game. Then searched for something right here. Yeah, price never came. And this one was another setup that could have worked for some low-hanging fruit, but yeah, was not worth the risk, honestly. That's why. So as you can see, price is still climbing higher. It kind of is showing its hand now, but so far the morning with bad price action, very lethargic, very lethargic, very non-trustable price action for me, honestly. And with that being said, I think we hit the 2 hour mark on the stream. Yes, we did so. So I think it's time for ending this Monday session. It could have been better, but the read was quite fine. Unfortunately, we did not interact with the market. But yeah, it's some of those things that traders need to accept. As a trader, you will never engage with anything with everything that you see. It's quite impossible. If you do so, you might taking you probably are taking too much risk. So try not to do such things as trying to engage in every setup that you watch and that you think it will happen. So try to be selective and try to choose only those who are effectively good and that has those that have a very good risk to reward ratio. So yeah, guys, I think it's time to end. There will be more tomorrow. Remember that tomorrow will be another day without any type of news. So not expecting that much as well. But yeah, we are approaching red folder news between Wednesday and Friday. So those days can be good days to trade. So yeah, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for being there, Francisco. Grande abraço para ti, pá. E vai dizendo coisas. And yeah, that's it. Tomorrow there will be more to come, and yeah, probably a better day for the rest of the days ahead. So thank you very much, and yeah, see you tomorrow.